Now, I want to talk to you about super smartphones, the sort of phone that does pretty much everything, from making calls, to playing music, to surfing the net, to playing games, to taking photos, to satisfying your every mobile need. Well, almost. For the last couple of years now, the undisputed king of this sector has been the iPhone. But is it any longer good enough to rule the smartphone roost? To find out, I selected 3 promising iPhone challengers and took them on a short trip for some intensive testing. This is Viareggio in northern Italy. For 11 months of the year, this small seaside town welcomes the odd tourist and quietly behaves itself. For the other month, however, it goes completely berserk. It's exactly the environment where a good smartphone will come into its own, letting you take snaps and video of the event, and then hopefully making the whole process of getting online to give the world a blow-by-blow account of your experiences via social networking as simple and pleasurable as possible. So, time to meet my smartphone contenders. First up, Motorola's Milestone. It's got a 3.7-inch touchscreen as well as a full QWERTY slide-out keyboard. The Milestone isn't the most attractive of phones. It's got this curious stepped look. On the plus side, it uses Google's slick Android operating system, which should make it a pleasure to use. Next up, the HTC HD2. It's a very good-looking phone and boasts a whopping 4.3-inch touchscreen, the biggest of the 3 phones I was testing. However, there is a downside, because underneath this stylish exterior lurks one of the most half-hearted and loathsome mobile phone operating systems known to man, Windows Mobile. And finally, Google's much-wanted Nexus One. Like the Milestone, it has a 3.7-inch touchscreen, but being Google's own phone, it was the first handset to boast the latest upgraded version of the Android operating system. Everything about this mobile screams iPhone. And actually, I think they made a pretty good job of the styling. I particularly like this grippy back, which stops the phone sliding out of your hand like a bar of soap. So, 3 potential iPhone beaters claiming new levels of communication, entertainment and information smartness. On with the testing. Firstly, I decided to send a few tweets about the carnival. Typing, getting on the net and generally navigating around the phones will be a great test of their usability. Unfortunately, I didn't get off to a great start with the Milestone. The touchscreen is fairly responsive and you do get this slide-out keyboard, but it's fairly flat. You can easily press 2 keys at once. It's made for slow typing. In fact, the keyboard was so bad that it took me forever to type my tweets. Constantly going back to correct mistakes. Too frustrating. In the end, I gave up with it and moved on to the HTC. And thank goodness, this proved to be a whole different experience. Even though it had the wretched Windows Mobile operating system, HTC's own interface was elegantly simple and beautifully intuitive to use. The big screen made typing a breeze, and my fingers found the correct keys easily. Only the occasional Windows Mobile screen popped through to mar the experience. In comparison, I found the Google Nexus One touchscreen a bit stubborn. And typing on the screen can be hair-tearingly frustrating. I mean, it's got a bigger screen than the iPhone, but it's nothing like as sensitive. In frustration, I resorted to the speech recognition facility, which in contrast proved surprisingly good. I never knew you could do so much with wet paper. Ooh, that's quite impressive. Send. So, after some intensive tweeting, the HTC was well out in front, thanks to a beautifully intuitive touchscreen. On to my second test. Taking some snaps of the visual feast before me to see how these phones stack up as cameras. All 3 are packing matching specs and the same number of megapixels. But as we all know, megapixels aren't everything. So, to make a fair comparison, I headed for a handy vantage point where I could take matching shots on each phone. When we compare the results, it's easy to see the differences. The Motorola Milestone comes out on top with sharp images and good colours. The HTC is close behind, still sharp but less accurate colours, while the Nexus is very disappointing, grainy and out of focus. And it's a similar story with the video. The Motorola clearly produced the best results, with the HTC again a close second and the Nexus still blurry. So, in the camera test, it's a win for the Motorola, although the HTC gets a mention in dispatches. And so to the G ratings. For the Milestone, it's 3 Gs. Fast performance can't make up for the gawky looks and fiddly keypad. And the Nexus One also gets 3 Gs. Again, the Android operating system is good, but the touchscreen and camera lets it down. And the HTC is the winner with 4 Gs. With its beautiful screen and slick interface, the HTC is the closest I've seen yet to an iPhone beta. And in terms of its hardware, it's actually better.